Hey everybody, I'm Rob Freeman, and today we're answering the question, what is contractual liability insurance? Well, contractual liability insurance is insurance that protects your business from claims of third-party bodily injury and property damage that you agree to assume on behalf of someone else. And this is what's called an indemnification agreement, or also known as a hold harmless. And many common contracts contain indemnification language. So an example of a contract with indemnification language might be a commercial lease, or a construction agreement, or a subcontractor agreement. And in each of these cases, one party is agreeing to indemnify and hold that party harmless and assume the liability from any bodily injury or property damage that arises as a result of that contract. And there's three ways to approach getting contractual liability insurance. The first is through a commercial general liability policy where there's an exception to an exclusion for contractual liability in the commercial general liability policy. And it's an exception for an exclusion for what's called an insured contract. And below the video here, I go into more detail about how you can find this language in your CGL policy. But that's the first way to make sure you have coverage for contractual liability. The second is through a specific separate insurance agreement or insurance policy for contractual liability. And that could be either a separate policy or a separate endorsement for contractual liability. And the third is through a surety performance bond. But really, the most common approach to contractual liability insurance is through the commercial general liability policy, and in this exception to the exclusion for contractual liability that exists for an insured contract. So again, below the video, I go into more detail on the definition of an insured contract and why it's important for your company to check your policy to make sure that you have coverage for contractual liability. Because if you're getting into an agreement or a contract with any client where you're providing services for that client, chances are there may be some indemnification language in there, and you want to make sure that you're covered for that in the event that something arises, a claim happens. So anyway, if you have questions about your insurance or you know someone who has questions about their insurance, please feel free to schedule an appointment with me. I love answering your questions and I look forward to talking to you. Thanks again. I hope this has been helpful and have a great day.